Alright, review time. Since I've played most of the Dynasty Warriors games, I am going to be comparing this game to the rest of the franchise. I'll divide this up into three sections. The character, as in the dude you play as, the story, and then gameplay. So here we go. Unlike other Dynasty Warriors games, you don't get to pick who you play this time. Instead, you play this guy. I like to call him China Chad, a godlike being with amnesia and having the amazing trait of stoicism. Seriously, this guy says very little and shows nearly no emotion. He has no voice lines except in battle, and there's like maybe 5 of those. So why do I call him China Chad, you ask? Well, you'll spend your time wondering about the world map of China. As for the Chad part, well, everyone seems obsessed with him. He wins people over by barely talking. Every guy wants to hang out with him. They want constant alone time with China Chad, or their ultimate dream of China Chad joining their faction. The women are instantly won over, like putty in his hands.
I wish I could lean on your shoulder and close my eyes.
The problem with all this is there's no reason for you to have to play this person. As in, there's no reason not be able to make your own character. You could insert nearly anyone into the position of a person with amnesia who barely talks, and make it work. Anyway, enough about China Chad. Let's move on to the story. Like all Dynasty Warriors games, this is based on the story of the Three Kingdoms. However, this one tells the story better than all of them. All these characters we have come to know have personalities now, and tons of voice lines. Except for you, of course. Due to how China Chad is, you play more of an observer, or like a fly on the wall. The world just kind of happens around you, and you're in it. We see a perspective of the story we've never had before. You get to see the kind of leader Tao Tao, Liu Bei, and the Sun family want to be. The things they are willing to do, the tactics they employ, and what they will sacrifice for their cause. You do eventually have to pick a side to fight for. Often we get to see how a character ended up joining a certain leader, instead of them just magically appearing on the battlefield with no reasoning. However, all this makes the game pretty heavy on cutscenes. I say this because in the previous games, there were little to none. The formula was battle, then battle, then battle, some more. There really wasn't something in between fighting. I think this changes for the betterment of the series. It gives the game more substance than it had before. Speaking of far more substance, let's talk about that gameplay. This series is known for being highly repetitious. Combat-wise, every character was essentially the same. Sure, the weapon was different, but you were still doing some kind of light and heavy combo moves no matter what. It all functioned the same. You just really turned your brain off during it. While this game does greatly reduce the amount of weapons, down to 11, each of those weapons is unique from one another and has an array of skills for each one. For instance, one has stances, one increases damage by taking damage, and another relies on charge attacks. Of course, if you want something more familiar, you could pick the sword. It functions just like the good old light and heavy combos we're used to. That's probably why you start the game with it. You'll be leveling up by improving your proficiencies with weapons, and we also get multiple skill trees. There's a ton of other things that spice up combat though. We get perfect dodges, parries, weapon skills, character skills, duels, war god mode, your Maseo attack. You can command troops and do a character switch. By character switch, I mean you can temporarily control another character that you choose before the battle. It is best to look at it as a short-term power-up, something that could save you in a close call or something to clear out an area full of enemies. Since there can be tons and tons of enemies on screen at one time now, calling in another character to drop a nuke is pretty awesome. You could potentially kill 1,000 dudes in one shot. It really adds to the amount of insanity going on the battlefield, and I must say, it feels like a battle more than any other in the series. You'll see arrows raining from the sky, generals trying to use tactics against you, catapults hurling boulders, and so on. The gameplay is without a doubt the biggest improvement of all. There's much more that could be said by going deeper into things, but it's time to wrap this up. When I reviewed the demo, I asked this question: can it save the series? Now I can answer that question. Without a doubt, it's yes. These changes needed to happen. The series needed something new, something besides more character and weapon bloat. The series was beginning to suffer from having too many characters followed by goofy weapons because every character has to have their own weapon. The only complaint I've universally seen is the lack of character customization or picking a character. So that's not bad overall for complaints. Plus it's sitting at a very positive on Steam. There is very likely to be DLC because this game doesn't cover the whole story the franchise is known for. I am hoping for there to be a big DLC, one that adds the rest of the story, a character customizer, and more weapons. But that's it for me though. What did you think of the game? Let me know in the comments. Other than that, have a good one and see you next time.